Science speaks in probabilities and confidence intervals, in carefully hedged conclusions and calls for further research. This intellectual humility is science's great strength, but it's also a vulnerability that bad actors systematically exploit. Let me show you how phrases like "more research needed" get weaponized to manufacture doubt about well-established facts. Here's how science actually works. No single study is ever definitive. Researchers appropriately call for replication studies and follow-up research. Scientists acknowledge limitations in their methods because that's basic intellectual integrity. Conclusions are provisional, subject to revision as new evidence emerges. This iterative refinement process is how science self-corrects and converges on truth. But watch what happens when this cautious language enters public discourse. A study might find no link between vaccines and cancer but conclude with the standard caveat, "Further research is warranted to monitor long-term outcomes." This is responsible scientific communication, but it gets twisted into headlines screaming, "Scientists say more research needed on vaccine cancer link," creating the false impression that there's legitimate controversy or concerning signals. The OncoTarget paper is a perfect example. The researchers appropriately used cautious language. These findings represent signals requiring further investigation. This is standard practice for preliminary exploratory research. But as the paper spread through social media, that nuance evaporated. It became evidence that vaccines cause cancer, despite the authors themselves calling only for investigation, not concluding causation. This exploitation of uncertainty follows a well-established playbook. The tobacco industry used it for decades, pointing to any scientific uncertainty about smoking mechanisms to delay regulation. Climate change deniers use it constantly, exploiting normal scientific debate about details to create false impression that the fundamental reality of human-caused warming is contested. Now we see the same tactics applied to vaccines. The strategy works because certainty is psychologically comforting. People want definitive answers, black and white clarity. When scientists honestly acknowledge what they don't know, it creates anxiety that conspiracy theories and misinformation rush to fill. A confident-sounding false claim often spreads faster than nuanced truth because it satisfies the human craving for certainty. Here's what you need to understand. We need more research doesn't mean the current evidence is unreliable. It means science is functioning properly, continuing to refine understanding. When tens of thousands of studies show vaccine safety but researchers appropriately note ongoing monitoring continues, that's not evidence of hidden dangers, that's evidence of a robust safety surveillance system. Media literacy requires learning to distinguish between preliminary findings suggest a hypothesis worth testing versus established facts supported by overwhelming evidence. It means recognizing when uncertainty is being exploited rather than honestly reported. And it means understanding that science's self-correcting nature through peer review and replication is a strength, not an admission of failure. The psychological factors amplifying this are powerful. Conspiratorial thinking thrives on filling uncertainty with narrative. People who distrust institutions interpret scientific caution as evidence of cover-up rather than intellectual honesty. And once someone has embraced a conspiracy framework, every piece of evidence gets filtered through that lens. Fighting this requires something counterintuitive, embracing uncertainty rather than fleeing from it. The most honest answer to many questions is, we don't know for certain yet, but here's what the evidence currently suggests. That humility might feel unsatisfying, but it's far more trustworthy than false certainty either in support of or against vaccines. The goal isn't perfect knowledge. It's making the best decisions we can based on imperfect but constantly improving evidence.